All right, guys, we're going to find the volume of a composed figure. How can you find the volume of rectangular prisms that are combined? So a lot of shapes have combined figures, and there's two ways to do it. You'll have to decide which way works best for you. The first way is the shape of at the right, which is here, is a composed figure. It is made up of two rectangular prisms that are combined. How can you find the volume of this figure? So we want to know the volume of this figure together. So we have to look at all the measurements all the way around it, or the dimensions all the way around. Volume, remember, is volume equals length times width times height, or volume equals base, which are these two combined, times height. So we have to break the figure apart. They have decided to break the figure apart like this. You could have broke the figure apart like this and did this part and then this part. Doesn't matter how you break it apart. It's just looking at what dimensions go with what parts. So we'll go with what this one says, and it said find the length, the width of this prism. So first we're going to find this. So this one, we know that width is 2 inches. We know that the length, if we look over here, because sometimes you got to look at the other one, but the length of this whole dimension or prism is 4 inches, the width of it. And the length, if we look, we've got the length and the width, but now we've got to find the height. And if we look, we cut off part of that 6 inches. So we can't say 6 inches. We have to look over here. What was this part? What was the height of this part? It was 2 inches. So we've got to take 6 minus 2 and we get 4. So now we have just the dimensions for this part. So if we go 2 times 4 times 4, 8 times 4 is 32 cubic inches. And remember, the 3 means cube because we have 3 dimensions. All right, now that we found that, now we have to find the other part, the dimensions of the other rectangular prism. And that one's pretty straightforward because we can see that all the dimensions are right there. Is all we have to do is multiply them. So length times width times height. 40 times 2 is 80. So now we pulled the rectangular prism apart. We have to put it back together. 32 cubic inches, I'm sorry, plus 80 is 112 cubic inches. So that was one way. All right, they do have another way, and that is looking at it as a solid. So we're going to look at it as a solid first, and then we're going to take away the empty spots. So if we look at it as a solid, our length is 10, our width is 4, and our height is 6. So when we multiply that together, we get, well, this is 24 times 10, 240. All right, now we have to figure out what's the extra in the middle that we don't have. So we're going to take out that empty spot now. So we got to figure the measurements of that. So, morning. So we're just going to measure this. And we know that this is 10 from up here. But we have to look at how much should we take off here. And up here it shows us we're going to take off 2 inches. So we have 10 minus 2, which is 8. So now we know we've got 8 in here we're taking out. The width is down here, how wide it is. And that is exactly the same because we're taking that much out. So it's 4 inches. And the height. So we have this whole height, which was 6 from here, but we only used how much of that? 4. So we have to take 6, or 2, because this was 2 inches. I'm sorry, 2 inches. So we have to take 6 minus 2 and we get 4. Now we can multiply that together and we get 32 times 4, which is 128. So now we had what we had total was 240. We're going to take out the extra. So that's 128 cubic inches. And if we subtract that, 240 minus 128, and once again, we get 112 cubic inches. So you have to decide which way you like to do it. Both ways work fine. Do you like to break out a part and just measure the solids, or do you like to think of it as a solid and take out the extra? All right, so let's try this one. We could make it a whole solid, but I prefer to break it apart. If you like to do it the other way, that's fine. I'm going to break this one in 3 because it's kind of got 3 different dimensions, 3 different rectangular prisms. So let's do this one first, then this one, and then this one. So if we look at this one, we know that our length is probably our trickiest one because we know it's all 12. So we're going to start off with 12 inches altogether, but how much are we going to take off? Well, we can look here, and here we're taking 5 feet off. Here we've got 3 feet. We don't have to take any. We can just look back here, and we have 3 cubic feet is our length. Our width, we have to look way over here. We have 5 because the whole shape is the same width, and the height is 4. So when I look at this, I do 20 times 3, which is 60. Okay, I took care of 1. Now I'm going to take care of 2. So I have, first I want to do the length. Okay, now I have this whole thing. And once again, how much are we going to take off? So we had 12. I have to take off this 3. Plus I also have to take off this here. So how much is this right here? Well, I guess I don't have to do that because I know that it's 5 back there. I should have looked closer. 5 together. Okay, my width is still 5. Now my height, the total, I have to look way over here. From here to here, it says it's 8. So 40 times 5. I like to do the commutative property and find the easiest multiplying. 40 times 5 is 200. All right, we have our last shape left, our rectangular prism. And we have this width here. Do we know what that is? Nope, they haven't given us any clues, but we know we have 12 altogether. These two are 3 and 5. So I'm going to take 12, take away 8, and I get 4. So I know my length is 4 from breaking it apart. My width is still 5, and my height. All right, my whole height was, it tells me right here, what's my height? 2 feet. Could have I figured that out from here? Probably. 20 times 2 is 40. Now if I add that all together, I get 60 plus 40 plus 200. I like to set them up on my commutative properties and switch them around because this is 100 plus 200. It's 300 cubic feet, the whole thing. So it's just a matter of figuring out your strategy and how you want to do it. All right, I would like you to turn to the next page. And I would like you and your partner to work all of these. Now, not necessarily do you have to work them the same way. If you choose to do this and they chose to do this, it's fine. You should still show your dimensions. That's what I would like you to do over here is just show I took length times width times height and tell me what they are. And then come back, and when you get them all done, shut the video off, bring the video back on, and I will show you the answers to those. Okay, finish that part, please. All right, we're back. And here are your answers. I don't know if that's what you got, but if you didn't, go back and work with your partner again. Then I would like you to do your homework, and I would like you to do all of these just as good practice and all the back. If you have time, it would be a good challenge here to do this back page. I just think it's fun because you're going to have to start building projects when you hit woodworking. And you're going to need to know your dimensions and how you're going to put your pieces together and how much wood you need to buy. So this is really real life, so get some good practice in. Enjoy.